So the following video is going to cause some of you to be enraged at the very asking of the question. But this is a question that many people are asking in the comments after the most recent development with John MacArthur and ShepCon 2026. And so I walk through that answer. I'd encourage you to watch the entire video. I walk through some principles regarding when to read something or not read something overall, talk about John MacArthur, even Steve Lawson, Alistair Begg, and kind of apply it to all of them. So here it is. Watch the whole thing. So what do I do now? Do I keep reading my John MacArthur Study Bible? Can I even read it anymore? Should I even listen to any more John MacArthur sermons? Those are some of the questions that I'm receiving in the comments. Let me deal with those questions today. Welcome to Truth Transforms. My name's Adam Markley, and I'm sure you are well aware now of Shepherd's Conference 2026. We've got woke preachers coming to that conference. Some of the leaders of the pack, like Ligon Duncan, Mark Dever, also coming are John Piper and the other man I can't think of at the moment. So anyway, all of those men are coming to the conference. And so the question is, some are asking, especially as things are traced back to John MacArthur, questions are coming up a lot about John MacArthur and his materials. What about, Grace Community Church going forward? And then, of course, John MacArthur. I mean, the supporting of Grace Community Church going forward, I think, is undeniable. That nobody should be supporting compromise. So people are saying, should I be supporting, some are asking that, but most are pretty settled on that. We don't support this kind of compromise. But what about John MacArthur? Certainly, this is a jolt to your feelings about John MacArthur there. And the answer to that question, first, I just want to say there's going to be an emotional reaction naturally. And that emotional reaction is a right reaction. The idea of conviction here, and someone saying something and did he really have the conviction that he believed, that he said that he had? Was it entirely fake? I don't think that the whole thing was fake, but I do think that there definitely was a sense of, let's say, a sense of hypocrisy as to the level of conviction that was held there, because he was able to overlook it for friends, apparently. Because there's a big difference between, yes, we don't want to be friends with the world. Bad company corrupts good morals. We know that's true. But even maintaining friendship, I'm quite confident he maintained interaction with Al Mohler, for example, over the years. But that's very different than highlighting someone. That's very different than platforming someone. And that's what I forgot. Al Mohler was the other one. And Al Mohler, who has his problems, he just kind of let it all happen, but he's moved back more the conservative route. That doesn't take away everything that he did. All these men should repent of what they have done, should recant of the teaching that they did, or the teaching that they allowed in the case of Al Mohler. Let me not get sidetracked from the question, though. The question being, continue to read John MacArthur's material. I'd say yes. I don't think that you need to throw out your MacArthur Study Bible or MacArthur commentaries if you have them, and certainly. But some people, I saw some people commenting to a man that was asking that question, saying, yeah, you shouldn't read it anymore, get rid of it, whatever. And some people responding saying, I'm not going to get rid of my New Testament commentaries, but I'm not going to go get any more new resources. And I say, do what seems best to you. If you're reading material by John MacArthur and you can't be edified because you're considering everything that he seemed to be lying about of some sort, then don't read it. Listen to some other preachers. Read from other preachers. There's many solid individuals out there. And some, sadly, have only listened to one man, that man being John MacArthur, and that's not healthy. That's not that's not healthy. You should be primarily being fed by your pastor in the local church. And then, taking in a variety of voices, really. Um, but I understand, there's only so much time that you have, and there's that truth as well. I would say the same thing with other men. I mean, if someone can listen to, I mean, Steve Lawson's stuff scrubbed off the internet. But I would say, if I have no desire to listen to read something of Steve Lawson's. There's so many others out there, but that would be an example of someone that it wouldn't be sinful to take in sound doctrine from someone like that. And the further you are removed from a situation, the less you may have personal feelings about it. But I would say, Alistair Begg, that's a little bit different because of the fact that he's leading people astray right now. He's leading people into his building the bridge doctrine, building the bridge to the LGBT community where we need to compromise to go, we need to compromise, make compromises, sin. So where the trajectory where he's leading people is problematic, but it's not sinful to read something of Alistair Begg's or listen to his sermons. I have no desire to. I didn't care for them as much as other people anyway, but I have no desire to, and I don't have the heart to. And I think that's the issue. Can you do it with where you're actually edified by it, or by reading it, does it cause a problem within you? And that's what I would say at this point in time, just at this very moment, just days after finding this out. Today's Wednesday, the October 22nd, I believe. And so if I were to listen to something or read something of John MacArthur's about social justice, well, there's too many negative feelings around that. But it doesn't mean that, if you're preparing a Bible study, a teaching, a sermon, you can't just use the material just to gain information. So there's a difference here in how you're approaching the content. But anytime someone lets you down, it does definitely have an effect. But it doesn't mean that you can't read solid material. If it's truth, it's truth. But it really does diminish the impact that one might have. Let's use Steve Lawson as an example. It's a very different example, but it is an example where if you were to read, I have a preaching book of Steve Lawson's on the shelf still. I don't intend to read it, but it's there. If I was reading about him preaching, talking about something technical or something, that'd be one thing. But if I'm reading about, him talking about the importance of godly living and, the importance of applying things to yourself before you preach it, well, I would know that was written completely out of hypocrisy. Especially, I think, with the timeline of the book, it might have been during, his sinful affair. So it'd be like, that's just total. All right, so I don't know what happened there. Ran into some technical issues on the playback, but I was in the middle of saying that's just total hypocrisy. Now I'll pick it up where I can pick it up. Well, since I had to interrupt the video, go ahead and hit that like button if you would. That definitely helps push this out to more people. Go ahead and consider subscribing, and we'll get back to it. That's just total. So no, you're gonna have these feelings rise up. These feelings of this man lacks integrity. This is hypocritical, and so for that reason, you're not gonna be able to consume it very well. So I guess the question is, should you? That's different than is it sinful? No, it's not sinful to intake biblical, truthful content. But is it beneficial? Is it edifying? It's not going to be if you have negative feelings. So in the case of John MacArthur material, because he tremendously let you down, I would say pray about it and, give it time, because in a week, In a month, you may feel different than you feel today. And if you want to interact with the material, that's great. I don't think that, the man should be canceled because of a poor decision or anything like that. But it is very disappointing, very, very disappointing. And so it's a fair question, and it's a question that many others are going to have, with the shock that he was behind all of this, that he was behind that decision. Quite honestly, I think in a month, couple of months, people are maybe going to, not have as strong of feelings, potentially, those that have been following him for years. And then Shepherd's Conference will happen, and those feelings will rise back up. They always have things that'll flare those feelings back up. And so, ShepCon will come back up, and you'll see things, and you'll be reminded of this, and you'll be like, I don't think I want to, read his stuff right now. So just, you don't have to read something that's not feeding your heart. But if it doesn't bother you, then by all means go ahead, because most of what he wrote was pretty, I agree with a lot of it. I haven't read a lot of it, but I agree with most of his doctrinal positions. I would disagree on some of the eschatological stuff. But anyway, that's my answer to your question. So I hope that was helpful to... There were a few different commenters that were saying that. So I hope that was helpful to you. Until next time, God bless. Now, if you're here, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's help this push us out to more people. Subscribe if you're new here, or if you haven't subscribed yet. A lot of you probably haven't subscribed yet. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to ask a question, you can do so by going to preachingforgodsglory.org/questions. And you can ask a written question, a voice question. You can just call in for a voice question. It's a 24/7 voicemail. Call 1-800-251-4919. That's 1-800-251-4919 for a chance to have that interacted with in a future episode. You can also leave a comment. You can share a testimonial, something you've appreciated about a podcast episode or this ministry in general. And these are the type of questions I'm looking for, potentially. Just different questions on Christian living, Christians in AI, working on a deep dive study regarding the ethics of AI, Christians in the use of AI. You can leave different comments from a recent podcast. You could even read a comment that you left on YouTube. Maybe you left it on a video. Go ahead and read that comment and call in and read that comment to get to the front of the line, because voice is in the front of the line. You can leave a respectful disagreement. You can leave a testimonial, a word of encouragement. All are welcome. If you'd like to support this ministry, you can do so with a one-time love offering by going to preachingforgodsglory.org/donate. You could also become a truth supporter, and there's an overview video to tell you more about that at preachingforgodsglory.org/truth supporter. That's preachingforgodsglory.org/truth supporter. Priority of all questions, comments, anything that's called in goes to truth supporters, and voice messages and written messages last of all. Truth supporters also get access to Theology Thursdays, exclusive content, and more. Thanks for watching. I hope that it was a blessing. Hit that like button on the way out if you haven't already. God bless you. I'll see you in the next episode. We'll be answering another question. It should be coming up on your screen now, and it's down in the pinned comment. So go ahead and click. All right. I'll see you over there.